Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Butchester. You guys know what I like to do on my show. I want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. Now, Scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And today we want you fired up about my guest. I will be spending some time today with Maria Veneros, and we'll be talking about her book, Dreams and Cries Are Save and Silent. So go on and get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea, because we are about to get started. Hello, Maria. Thank you so much for joining me here on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, as is tradition here on the show, we always give our authors an opportunity to introduce themselves. There might be a few folks out there that are unfamiliar with you or your work, Maria. So my first question to you is, what makes you you? Tell us a little.
I am an immigrant. I consider myself a warrior, a dreamer, and a person of faith.
Now, being an author, is that something that you've always wanted to do, or did you find that life presented you with an opportunity and you said?
Well, it was just opportunity for me to express feelings that I see on nature, on people, and part of my life too. It was a project that just came true. I never planned it to be an author. It was just a possibility to make my poems or the things that I write it, put it in a book.
Now, the title of your book, Dreams and Cries Are Save and Silent. How did you come about the title of your book?
Well, when I select the poems that I want to include on the book, it was the poems that it was experience on my life, from people that I either work with or people who are important in my life, and things that I see on nature. And I see that it was at the time maybe that sometimes we cry in silence for things that we've been going through, and the dreams that sometimes we don't talk about it. And I see some of my dreams are safe if I don't mention.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more there. You said two very important things, and that is people don't realize how many times people are crying in silence. You know, they may not show that to the outside world, but they have a lot going on. And they may be crying inside when they feel that they're safe and able to. And you always can't tell everyone about your dreams. You're right about that, because we have some naysayers out there, some folks that will hate on your dream or, you know, what you're trying to accomplish, and they just don't help us get there. So you are so right there. Now, when it comes to the appropriate reader, I know that many times when an author is writing, you may have a particular person that you think this book is best suited for or guest geared towards. Other times it's a book that is appropriate for all ages, all groups. Is there a particular reader that perhaps your book is best for? Is it okay for someone high school age, or would you say a little bit older?
I think from all ages, because a lot of teenagers on this decade are not very interested in poems. I see new generations feel like poetry it is boring, or it is not a word for it. But I think it's a lot of intelligent and smart young people who will love to see their work on a book. But because I see friends or kids that said, "Oh, that was amazing that you did," but exactly they didn't read it, the book. So I encourage people to do that, or all ages. I think it will be amazing. For me, it's no age or race or religion or any to read poetry.
Hmm. Now, for so many folks, they have to decide how they're going to share their story, how they're going to share their art with you, if you will. Be it that it's a story of fiction, or it's a children's book, a cocktail table book that's filled with photographs. Whatever it is, you have to determine how you're going to share that piece of work with us. Why was poetry for you the most appropriate way to share what you wanted to share, as opposed to in a traditional story format?
Poetry was a way to express my feelings in different times of my life, and I see that like a recipe for life. I mean, it is like when you're in the kitchen and cooking, you follow a recipe. Sometimes even not the exact measurements, but I try to see the same way in poetry. Uh, I don't follow rules, I don't or measurements, but I just follow my instincts on how I feel or what I see, and express myself. I like to feel open and try to find the right words for this special book. Was a challenge because the original version is in Spanish, which is my first language, and to be translated was quite of a challenge to find the right words to do it properly. And I like to express feelings that people feel connected with. That when someone is reading the book, feel connected for what they reading or what they see on the book.
I think you're right. You're right there. When we feel a connection in any way, shape, or form, it does help the book become a little more real to us. It helps that piece of the story become a little more real for us. So you are so right there. So for most people that I get an opportunity to talk to, they are an inspiration to especially our aspiring authors out there. But that doesn't mean that an author isn't themselves inspired. Somebody might inspire you. So that's my next question for you. Was there anyone who inspired you? Is there anyone who nudged you? Is there anyone who said, Maria, you have to get this book out there so that the world can read your poetry?
Yes, yeah, it was one of my siblings. My sister, well, actually never in my family, and not anybody knew that I was a writer, that I like to read or write poems. Uh, Poetry is not a thing on my family, but, and not in the boys, but in the girls, some of them. But my sister, we were talking and she said, why you don't do it? Why you don't publish a book? And I thought, well, who's going to be interested on my things, on the things that, but she said, well, you never know. Just give it a try. And she insisted. And I said, well, maybe you're right. And this book came, I guess, at the right time, at the wrong moment that I was going through, let's say a grave about in 2010, we lose an aunt who was very important to me. She inspired me so much in a lifetime and encouraged me how to confront life, my frightness and my fears. So she inspired me so much in life, how to be a good human being, how to conserve and preserve my faith, my traditions. And so she helped me a lot. But my sister, who was the person who opened the door for, become, an author, to publish a book.
I always love asking that question because of the answer that the authors give, and it's like, here's a shout out to that sister who said, Maria, do it. And you did. Like, yay, 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 because there's somebody right now who is just so excited because one of again, one of your pieces of poetry has really inspired them and encouraged them. So you just never know how we are going to have a ripple effect onto a bigger community like that global community. And thank you for telling us a little bit more about the book. That was going to be a question of mine. So let me skip ahead to when you have completed the book. So you've gone through the whole process of, writing the poetry. You've had it edited. It's now with the publishers. You've committed to a cover. All of these good things, and you are now holding the first copy of your book in your hands, Maria. How did you feel in that moment? What was that like?
Well, when the package arrived on my house, I opened it and I saw, oh my God, I was excited. I was nervous inside of me, but I said, I did this. I really did it. Oh my God. I said, oh my Lord, I did it. It is real. So, and I started reading the book in Spanish and in English. And I said, yeah, this is me. So I was excited.
I can imagine. There are some questions that I simply feel that I must ask everyone. And I know that my longtime listeners, I wonder why did she ask that question of everyone? Because did you hear that joy in her voice? Did you hear the excitement? And I think that is one thing that, it doesn't matter what you have created. Either you are an artist, perhaps you paint, or you're a writer, or you may be a musician. When you create something and you are able to hear it played back to you, or you're able to read it, or you're able to touch it with your hands in its finished work, there is nothing like that moment. So I just want everyone to know how exciting it is to actually bring your work to life. That is awesome. Now, it is almost time for us to go to break, Maria, but before we do, can you remind everyone, please, what's the title of your book? Where can we get a copy? And of course, how do we stay in contact with you?
My book, it is Dreams and Cries Are Safe and Silent. And you can find it at Amazon.com, Exlibris.com, and any store where books are sold through the publisher. My email is Connie Almaraz at AOL.com, through Facebook at Connie G. A. Veneros.
Alrighty, everyone, now you know where you can get a copy of the book. We'll be back right. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Chester, but my guest today is Maria Veneros, and we're talking about her book, Dreams and Cries Are Safe and Silent. Now, my next question for you, Maria, is for some authors, they have a hard time determining what bits and pieces they want to include or what pieces they choose to exclude. Do you have any, I don't want to necessarily say regrets, but do you have any changes that you wish that you would have made, like you wish you would have included more of something or a little less of a something else? Are there any changes that you would have made to how you presented this book that perhaps you might even want to present a book number 2?
Regrets, it is just because maybe why I didn't make the decision to make this book before, like when I was younger, with more energy maybe, to include different things or do it differently. Maybe to include more poems about teenagers' life, and make the book a little extended, not too thin, because I hear comments that, oh, it's too short, the poems are too short, and some of them are too long. So maybe I didn't in a rush time, on the selections. I want to include a little bit of everything, but, uh, maybe sounds like a salad in there, but, for me, it was, not having experience and, no, have nobody to guide me on, what exactly include on the book. So it was just a selection of a little bit of everything. And, the regrets is only about time. That,
Mm-hmm. I like your answer, and thank you so much for being very open and authentic about that. And I think that someone can truly learn a lesson there. And one is that you said that, when you were putting it together, you just didn't know what exactly to do there. And I think that that's where a lot of people um are nervous, or there's a little bit of anxiety there because they don't know, like, is this enough? Is this too much? How do I make sure that it is proper and true? So thank you for having that bit of honesty there. And I know that now, the good thing is, that so many people are revising their books. They're not changing it, but it's, instead of a first edition, it's now the second edition, because they've gone back and made some changes and added a little here or taken away a little bit there. So you are so right. So right there. Now, for someone who says that they are looking for a book that may speak to them from a spiritual place, like where they're looking for an author who's not afraid to share their faith or share who they are as a person of faith. Do you have any poetry in which you feel that you may be sharing who you are as far as your spiritual side is concerned?
yes, I do. And, some other books, that I mean, they're not published, but, some books that I've been reading, journals, I have that I always include and put my faith in what I believe first. Because it's like, a light to guide me, on how to do it. I don't want to use, words that offense or feel bad to other person. Um, I like to get involved in the story, even if the poem or the things that I'm writing is not exactly my life or part of my life that I see on a child or on a person. I like to get into their story. I like to, believe it, to see that it's like part of me. So I can feel it. I can feel maybe their pain. I can feel their anxiety and put it on words. Imagination it have a lot to do on writing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's really one of the signs of a really good writer, is to be able to have a really great imagination, because you guys have to take us along on the journey, right? On the story that you're telling us. Even if it is bits and pieces of your life, you still have to be able to present it in a way that makes it interesting to everyone else. So you are so right there. Now, when it comes to, and I want to give you a little bit more time to talk about this, and that is when you're determining which bits and pieces of your life to share with the rest of the world in the book. Was that a difficult decision for you to make? How did you determine how much of your own personal story you wanted to share at any given time?
Well, it was, not quite an easy, decision. Because I don't want to, put too much of my, exactly life, because I realized that this book, it was not my biography. It was not exactly, everything about my life, but I want to get, put part of it. So it is like when a person read the book and say, oh, it's really she's been going through this part of, issues on her life. But at the same time, it is a question, because people told me, oh, this really happened to you. I said, well, no, it doesn't happen to me, but it happened to someone else. And that's, I put it in words. It is just part of imagination on people's life. But I would like to put myself, or put myself on their shoes and see how can I put it in words.
Yeah. And I think that for many people, if we think back to writers of TV shows that we like, or plays that we have attended back when we could go to the theater and all of that, so many people say, this character is not a real person. It's a little piece of my mother. It's a little piece of my aunt. It's a little piece of my grandmother. It's a little piece of the church ladies, all blended together that create this person. So I definitely understand what you're saying. It may not be your story, but it is the story of someone, that inspired you to be able to use your imagination and add and take away accordingly. I love it. I love it. Now, speaking of adding to the story, I have to ask, do you have any plans of writing any books in the future? I know many authors have taken this pandemic time to keep writing. Some books are ready to be published, others are not. So that's my question for you. Do you plan on writing anything to be released?
I would love to. I have a lot of material to do another one, and it is in the main future. I would love to have it. It depends on budget, and time. Right now with this pandemic, it's a lot of time, but on time to make an effort for a project like this, it is a budget involved, and sometimes I have to work a little harder to put it savings apart and things like that. I never thought how much let's say expenses involved in this kind of project. This book, it was the experience of a lifetime, 100% on everything. I learned so much on how to spend the money, how to choose a publisher, how to talk to people on projects and make decisions. So I guess for the next project, I will take more time on selections, on everything. Maybe not so rush the second time.
And I think that that's just a lesson that you learn along the way, which I usually ask, one of the questions that I ask many authors is, is there something that you wish you would have known then that you know now? And that's kind of one of your answers, is that, time to figure out, how you can best spend your time in the planning stages of the book. But again, you just don't know what you don't know, when you're trying to figure it out. I'm sure if I were to go back and listen to, episode 1 of my radio program, it's like, oh wow, that first show was woohoo, in comparison to, the shows that we're doing now. So you just don't know what you don't know. And then as you learn and grow, you see the maturity as it happens. So I love it. I love it. Now, when it comes to trying to make sure that people understand what the overall message is of your book, Maria, I know that for some authors, they have a theme or a message that they want to make sure that people understand, to love everyone, or to be kind with yourself, or you're going to make it, whatever the theme is. What would you say is the overall message or theme of your book?
Well, the theme, it is sentimental, I guess, to become more closer to myself, to express myself out there more clearly to myself, maybe not to be so quiet anymore, and to encourage myself to do the things that I would like to do. And I recommend it to other people to do it. It is a decision that changed a lifetime, not only on poetry, but there's a lot of people who are great on cooking, on gardening, on any project. It is just make the determination to do it. It is amazing. And the message for myself was like I liberate myself from a lot of sadness that I was going through the time I wrote the book.
I have to agree with you there that we should just remember to move forward, even if we don't feel like it, even if we're not sure, but to keep moving forward. Absolutely, absolutely. Now, my last question for you there is, so many times, and especially during this pandemic, we have been able to reassess. We've been able to look at things a little bit differently and realize that, oh my goodness, we should be more grateful than perhaps we have been in the past, considering all that has gone on. Or have you found that you have had more of an attitude of gratitude, the fact that you have made it through a global pandemic?
Well, I feel gratitude. I feel thankful to God that nobody in my family died through this pandemic, to these sicknesses. We have some people who are very sick, but we made it through, and I feel grateful for it. I feel grateful to my sister who encouraged me to do this project. I feel grateful to my parents and to my aunt who has been an angel to me from up there, is still guiding me. And it is great to be alive, to do things, to come out of sadness stages from certain moments. It is just feel wonderful. I think we learn to appreciate life and what we have after the things we've been going through.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I could not agree with you more. Well, Maria, thank you so much for coming by and spending some time with us here today. But before I let you go, can you remind everyone, please, what is the title of your book? Where can we get a copy? And, of course, how do we stay in contact with you?
My book, it is Dreams and Cries, Safe and Silent. And you can have it there. It's available through Amazon.com, Ex Libris. And you can contact me at conniealmaraz@OAL.com.
Thank you again, Maria, for being a guest on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. And listeners, thank you for spending some time with us here as well. As always, may the Lord continue to shine His face upon you, that you receive His grace and His mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone.